What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the Wallet Monkey channel, where we give you all the credit intel you need to grow your wallet. Today what I wanted to talk about, we're about middle of the year, and so I wanted to focus on the 3 things that you should be doing here in 2022 with your credit score. Okay, so first up, and probably by far the most important thing that I think you should be focusing on, I've shot dedicated videos about this, it's a recurring theme, one of many. So number 1 is lower utilization. It's no secret that subprime, prime even, that these lower credit score tiers, right, have a lot of problems with keeping debt levels down. When we get into the subprime category, naturally we find ourselves with higher utilization, right? And so when we have higher utilization, we are seen as more of a liability in the bank's eyes. So all kinds of weird things can start to happen. We can have credit limits. I doubt you'd have a large credit limit at this point, right? But if you did, we see cuts happening and them dropping the credit limit that we get. We have account closure issues happening. We can even get calls for audit 4506T or C. We can have all kinds of different things happening. So it's just not worth it to have that high utilization. We have to figure out a way to either to improve our skills, to come out and learn new skills, right? To then transfer over to make more money, or get a personal loan or some sort of other vehicle to then transfer over and clear out that debt. We want it to be 10% or lower on revolving credit. So everything besides loans, essentially. All of our credit cards, we want to be 10% utilization or less across the board every single month. What's interesting is that the first month that you do this, if you go from like 70, 80% to like 10, 11%, you'll see anywhere between 60 to 100 point jump in the first month alone. As soon as the next statement date hits and we get our refresh scores, essentially, because I've gone through that. So I can tell you firsthand experience exactly what that's like. That'll happen. But then what you'll notice is that there's all these other benefits like 2-3 months down the road, right? So some of the harder FICOs like FICO 9 will start to improve. Our internal credit scoring mechanisms at some of these banks and credit unions will start to improve. So we're really setting ourselves up for success, right? Not to mention that if we're gardening right now, then this is even more valuable to be doing these things now, right? Okay, so that brings me into number 2. Number 2, and this is another reoccurring theme, is to really focus on just a few core institutions that you want to build longer term relationships with and start to build those relationships. Open up your primary accounts, which are what? Checking, savings, and some sort of money market account. And so once we've got those 3 accounts established, we want to start showing transactional history. And again, this is a perfect thing to do if you're in the garden or if you're in a subprime category and you're just trying to build up your score back, right? This is another great thing to focus on, because what's interesting is that if we take and we put our focus on utilization and building out great relationships at these institutions, they start to, on a long enough timeline, they start to ignore things like derogatories, late payments, bankruptcies, collections, all of those things. They rank much, much lower because they've got a few pieces in front of that. They've got this low utilization, which is showing and proving that you're handling your debt, and they've got the internal credit score piece that they've now built up with you. So that, to me, those 2 pieces alone trump the rest, right? And really put you in really, really good position. And that leads me to number 3. So why do we care about these things? We care about these things because we want to get our personal credit score in order so that we can get ourselves into position for the next phase of things. And this is something that not enough people think about. It's all personal credit for them, and they guard that. And when anything happens there, it's like, their happiness or unhappiness is based on, how many point difference they're seeing from month to month on their credit scores. We have to grow beyond that. How do we do that though? Number 3. Business credit. We have to get ourselves positioned for business credit. Business credit is the long game. Business credit is the finish line, if you want to call it that. It is the place that you want to get to. And then all we have to do is, whether it's through one entity or multiple entities, we just continue to grow out and extend out our lines of credit with these different banks and institutions. There's a compound effect happening here. And what it is that we've gotten our personal credit in order, right? We've now been growing and establishing relationships at key banks that we want to work with long term. Any internal credit scores, whether it's public or not, are now looking good because we've got transactional history occurring. And now we're gearing up to the big one, which is the business credit, right? And we just, like I said, whether we keep opening up new entities, whatever you're doing with these entities, I don't know, that's entirely up to you, right? And your moral compass, but you're in a really great position at that point to then start to extract value back out and get larger lines of credit, right? Larger credit cards or charge cards with Amex. You start to get treated completely different on the business side of it. Now, here's what's great, is that there's all this talk about tier ones, and we've done videos on this, and we've got an entire playlist on business credit. So check that out if you haven't already. But you could actually just make it really, really simple. You could just PG, personal guarantor. You could sign off on this credit card or put your name up to get into the Amex ecosystem on the business side of it, and you'll be just fine, right? And that would be an immediate thing you could do right now. Remember, you can have up to 14 different cards total with American Express, which is absolutely insane. Navy Fed isn't too bad. Chase isn't too bad either. So, I mean, there's a lot of other banks and institutions as well. So that is like the end game. Like, the goal should be, we're over here trying to build up our personal credit, get enough on our personal name, but not too much to where our file looks too thick, looks too overextended, right? Or looks like we're just playing the game too much, right? Like we're charging $5-10 every single month and we've got $200,000 of personal credit. Again, that's not gonna lead us to where we wanna go. I'd rather have millions of dollars worth on the business side, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars on the business side, so that as I'm using my 1% or whatever, 10% every single month utilization, it's not really affecting that bottom line. And it's giving me a lot of breathing room in case business emergencies come up, like what we saw happen through 2020. Just imagine how much of that could have been mitigated if everyone followed this path. Like everyone in the United States, all 360 million plus people, right, all followed a similar path to where they were building up personal credit, didn't go and try and get hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in personal credit, instead pivoted and built all that out on the business side. They would have at least had a lot more breathing room. Now, I don't know if that would have been a good thing or a bad thing, because maybe that would have just led to a bunch of defaults and dead businesses. I don't know. But I will say that, having that cushion is everything. It's absolutely everything. So those are my 3 things that I suggest to focus on, especially if you find yourself in the middle of the year and you really haven't gotten much accomplished with your credit. Then maybe it's time to kind of switch gears, pivot, and make a change that way, right? So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments though. I'd love to hear your ideas and what you're focused on right now with your credit. Are you building personal credit, business credit? What's your primary focus right now? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And if you want this video to get in front of more people, it's simple. Just click the like button. Again, comment below. And if you're brand new here and you love personal finance, talking about credit cards and all this stuff like we do, then stick around, hit the subscribe button, bell notification, turn it to all, and be on the lookout. More videos coming soon. All right, see ya.